Hello and welcome to episode. This is 99. Cam, we're one off 100.
It's crazy, man. It's gone so fast.
I
It's
know.
gone so fast. I think we started March. We started recording of March 2022.
No, 2023.
2023? Are
Yeah,
you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, but we uploaded our first episode in May. And, I can't believe it's... What have we been doing?
I know. It's
Like,
crazy.
I can't believe it.
Crazy. Well, anyway, to those listening or watching, hello to you all. Welcome to episode 99 of the Late Invoices show. I'm Matt Pearson. I'm joined by co-host Cameron Hall.
Hello.
How are we, Cam? You good? How was your
good,
weekend?
man.
It is the 1st of December today. Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. You can open your advent calendars.
I don't have one. I would like one. I would like one. Yeah, no, I do need to get one. I do miss having an advent calendar. We put the tree up last night, though. So the tree is at 1st of December. There's a strict rule in this house that Yaz's birthday is on the 28th, so nothing can go up until birthday is done. And then we got it up last night, ready for the 1st today. So it feels good, man. It feels nice to, trying to get into the Christmas spirit a bit.
I feel like that's a really good rule as well, because imagine if you had the Christmas decorations go up before the 28th. You're going to have Christmas decorations around for your birthday, and you're also going to have Christmas decorations around for Christmas, and probably New Year as well.
And when you've got birthday cards around the house and stuff, and it's too
it gets diluted,
Yeah. So yeah, mate. No, all good. Went away last week. Obviously, got a bit of R&R. Went to Norfolk.
Rest and recovery.
Yeah, rest.
Okay. You need to for the uninitiated. You need to
whatever you want to call it. But now some nice long beach walks, some really nice cafes, bakeries, sauna.
I did see an Instagram story with your coat and your hat on. So you say beach, but it wasn't like
it's an English beach, mate. So it's not not 25 degrees and sunny. I'm not in Dubai, unfortunately. This time last year I was in Dubai working, but not this year. Yeah. So
wait, was that when you went to shoot the rugby?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a year ago.
A year ago. Yeah, mate. Time flies.
Bro,
time flies.
That's crazy.
But no, mate. So yeah, nice weekend. Back at the desk today. I think I was just saying to you off air. I feel like I'm getting ill. I've got this, I think I'm getting an ear infection and I feel a bit worse for wear. But we're going to get this show done today, soldier through, and hopefully I can recover. Because today's my first day, back at the desk, kind of back to work, so to speak. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how Monday. It goes. Yeah, it's Monday all day. All day.
Wow, thanks.
But how are you, Cam? All good? How was your weekend?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. Still doing the 3D, still live streaming games. Over the weekend, I forgot to mention as well, I did some Christmas shopping. We went to Manchester for the first time. So it's about an hour and 45 minutes to get there.
Trafford Centre?
Do you know what, bro? Not Trafford Centre, just Manchester Arndale, Market Street, Piccadilly, Deansgate, Northern Quarter. Bro?
What?
You know, all that shit I was talking about Manchester?
What shit?
Well, where I was just like, London's I feel like London's just ahead. Nah, mate. If I went to Manchester, they've got an end. They've got an end store in Manchester.
For ages,
mate. I honestly, right?
Do you know where the first end store was? Newcastle, before London.
Damn. Okay. Well, see, I didn't know that. But I was there, and I was just so surprised because when I left Manchester 8 years ago, it felt like, at the moment, Northern Quarter is basically what Manchester used to be like everywhere. Kind of, I don't want to say run down, but just kind of all kind of the same, a little bit. Yeah. Not the infrastructure wasn't as there. You had Market Street and the shops and Piccadilly Circus and everything, but it was all kind of not really updated or anything. And I went there this time and I was like, holy shit, this is like I'm walking around London. I don't know, the businesses were booming, cafes on every street.
It's the northern city to be.
Yeah.
Ancoats is I think it's Ancoats. I was literally there last week, was it week before for a shoot, and I've got some friends that are creative friends that are obviously based up there, and it's like the Shoreditch of, kind of Manchester.
Yeah. So Ancoats is up in the Northern Quarter. So I did want to say something about that. So we parked closer to Spinning Fields and Deansgate. So if you imagine it like a hill from top to bottom, Northern Quarter is at the top, then you've got Piccadilly and Market Street, and you walk down Market Street, and as you go down, you get to Deansgate, and then you get Spinning Fields and things like that. And the bottom half of that hill is all up to speed, high end, feels a lot more like London, there's coffee shops everywhere and everything. But then the top of that hill, Northern Quarter and everything, it was desolate. Mate, my comic book stores were no longer selling comic books. I
What are
was
they selling
devastated.
now? Are
Nothing.
they
They're
Pilates
selling.
studios?
Yeah, well, they're selling like toys and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I went downstairs into the comic book store. It used to be walled with comics.
Yeah.
Gone. And I was like,
There's no
no,
demand for it, is there?
no, yeah. And
Can't say I'm
so,
surprised.
so I was just really shocked. So Ancoats is up near Northern Quarter. So you would have seen in Ancoats, Ancoats is quite nice anyway, just in general. But
Yeah.
you would have been on like I feel like I've got to say, and obviously, if there's anyone who's living in Manchester right now who's listening, maybe you'll agree. But I feel like Northern Quarter has been kind of like forgotten, and the rest of Market Street down to Deansgate has kind of all been updated, and it feels very London-esque, and infrastructure's there and all that. And Northern Quarter used to be like all these fancy cocktail bars, and it was a bit more like Shoreditch, whereas now it kind of feels like granted, I was there on a Friday, so maybe it's different on a Saturday, but yeah, it was desolate, and it felt kind of like really run down, and I was like, man, it feels like the rest of the city forgot. Like Northern Quarter used to be where stuff was happening, and now it's like the rest of the city's forgot about it. And I was pleasantly surprised, honestly, by that. I don't think I would ever move back to London. If I wanted the city vibes, I would just move to Manchester. It was that
100%.
good. I was like,
think
damn.
Leeds and Manchester are great, and they're great northern cities.
Yeah.
And more of my shoots seem to be happening in Manchester. So it's like I was saying to Yaz, like I always need to be able to get to Manchester fairly easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think obviously like, I'm not too clued up about Manchester. I visit for work here and there. But I know there are some listeners that are from there, and they'll probably have something to say on it. But yeah, I think it's a really cool city, and I don't know if it's the second largest grossing city in the UK after London.
I don't know. Well, everyone's always been saying that it's up and coming and all this. Yeah. But everyone's always been saying it's up and coming. I lived in Manchester for like 22 years of my life, and they always said it was up and coming. And it was like, yeah, it might have been whatever. Bro, now that I've gone back properly, I'm like, I would live in Central Manchester. If I could, I would live in Central Manchester. It was so good. And
also,
I want to apologise for all of my thinking that London's like way further ahead, because I think Manchester, they've been able to look at what London's doing, and the stuff that doesn't work in London, they've been able to kind of avoid in Manchester. So they implement all the good stuff, and then they've got a flat iron as well. I was like, nah. And they've got an honest burger. Nah,
mate. So many places have an honest burger.
Yeah, mate. Manchester didn't have a flat iron. It didn't have an honest burger. It didn't have an end. And I was like, yo,
I'll tell you something
crazy.
The Manchester Soho House has just opened as well, which is on top of a very tall building.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Honestly,
so Giuseppe was there the weekend. He said it's really good, so I need to go at some point.
Yeah. Well, I am shocked. I just want to say, like, if there's any past podcasts where I'm talking about how London I think is better than Manchester or whatever,
yeah.
Cameron was naive back then. Didn't know what the hell he was talking about.
Maybe you'll move closer to Manchester one day. Maybe you and Steph will move closer.
Maybe.
Anywho,
exactly. Yeah,
let's get into the topic today. So, today, guys, we want to talk about stuff we wish clients knew, but we might never say out loud. So, we're both going to pull from our experiences. Just keep it nice and honest, keep it nice and brief and concise. But these are things that we're going to go through a base of topics here and prompts. But like, if all of our clients were listening right now, what's one thing that we wish they knew? And I know that some of you listening would, probably like to chime in here. But the first one for me is, I think, all around communication and expectations, right? So, Cameron, what would you say makes a dream client to work with?
You're going to make me answer this first.
Well, in terms of communication, so like, are there things that clients do that make the projects 10 times harder? How you wish clients would give feedback? I can start if you want, because I've got a...
Okay, yeah, you start. I think I've already got some answers.
So in terms of communication and feedback, the biggest one for me is, and this is touching more on the feedback just because it springs to mind first, I really don't like it when a client, you say you send over the work and you send the WeTransfer link, right? And they're like, perfect, thanks. And they download it and you just don't hear from them. And it's like, well, did you like the photos? Were you happy with them? And I almost don't want to chase because it feels needy. Do you know what I mean? Like, just checking in to see if the images were okay and like you're happy with them. So that communication from the client, I think, is really important. We love our craft and we're really passionate about what we do. So when we deliver the final images, we want to know if you like them and you're happy with them. And, usually like 9 times out of 10, when you chase, they're like, oh my God, we love them. Thanks so much. They're just wrapped up in other stuff and deadlines on their end that they forget. But I think a good client that communicates well is one that gives you that feedback and lets you know if they're happy with them, and lets you know that from kind of straight away. So that's something that sticks out with me in my head, because I really don't like it when you deliver the final thing and then you just don't hear from them, and it's like, oh well,
Yeah.
you know.
I think I relate to that as well, because I really I don't know whether it's, I think it's just the way I am. Like, I really value when someone tells me how good the work is, and it's not necessarily that I need the validation, but it makes me work harder and happy to do the work and go the extra mile when someone's like, hey, just wanted to let you know, like, this work's like amazing, and I really appreciate this. And I think it's the appreciation that really goes a long way, because oftentimes, especially on a project, it's almost like, well, it's your job. Like, that's what we're paying you for, technically, and the money is the appreciation, right? Technically, but like, I guess, like, for creatives, it's not the same as, like, creative industry isn't really the same as like regular jobs. It's a little bit more personal and a little bit more like down to the person. And I think that, I do think that it goes a long way.
I think also the other big thing about communication with me just off the bat is when a client reaches out to you, them just being super clear, concise about, this is the shoot we've got, this is the kind of like the creative brief on it, and this is what we want to achieve, this is the budget we've got, this is when we want it to happen, this is the usage for the shoot. And it's like bang, 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 really clear, it's bullet pointed, and you can just see straight away the date, it's a shoot to achieve this. This is the availability. This is the budget we have. We can give you your day rate if they've worked with you before. Let us know. And it's just, instead of it being in like a really wordy paragraph where, I just had an email. I completely get this. Yeah. I just had an email through that I replied to today, actually, that was from someone I've never worked with before, but it was like, hi, I've got a brand and I would love to do an e-com shoot with you. Is there any way I could get your rates and availability? And I kind of went back with, well, like, firstly, who is your brand? There was no email signature. There was no like email address that said what the brand was from. And it just wasn't very clear. And it was like, can you send me like references of your work? And it was like, well, how have you found this email? And if you've come through Instagram, you can see my work. And do you know what I mean? So just being clear about, hi, my name's this, and this is the brand I work at. We would like to achieve something that looks like this. What's your availability? What's your thing? Instead of just like, part of me felt like, is it a real email? Do you know what I mean? You get those emails through where it's a bit like, is this a real person at a real brand? And it made me think twice. And it might be, or it might be fake, but the fact that the person hasn't like said that the brand that they're from and like linked it there, and just those communication techniques, I think, are super important for people like us,
Yeah, well, especially because you can also gauge the seriousness of the project based on how the person is asking for it and like what they're interested in knowing. And so if they just message you as if it's a WhatsApp message 100%. On an email, and it's like, hey, can I have your rates? Like, I'm interested in this. It's kind of like, are you even serious about your own project? Yeah. Are you just going to waste our time? And I also think as well, it's important to note that, a lot of people, it's happening less and less, but a lot of people aren't used to working with a creative. Like, people aren't used to maybe having a photographer if they're a first-time brand owner or something, and, they have no idea what's going on. But I do think there are some basics. Like, I know that when I was producing shoots and I needed to hire a team and stuff, I wouldn't mess about going, like, and also I know this because I'm a creative and people do this to me. Sometimes producers would message me and they go, hey, got an edit, are you available on this date? And it's like, what's the edit about? Because I might not want to fucking take it. First of all, how much money have you got for it? And then also, what's the deadline for and all this stuff? So when I was producing shoots and reaching out to crew, I would say, this is the date that it's on, this is the rate I have, this is, say, like, the availability or whatever of when it's needed for. Are you available for it? Do you want to do it? Yeah. And also, like, let me know like, is it too cheap? Is it too, can you make the budget or whatever? And you're almost just like being super honest and being like, this is everything I know about the projects that I'm bringing to you. What do you think? Can you take it on? If not, no hard worries, no hard feelings. But just kind of I don't know, being open and
Just clear, concise,
transparent.
giving as much information as possible. Transparent's a great word.
Yeah.
Yeah. In
Because
terms of
a lot of people in the creative industry as well, people are quite tight with their budgets in terms of like don't want to reveal it, or they like, well, what's your rates? And it's like, well, what's your budget? What's your rate?
yeah,
We've spoke about that before, so
yeah.
stop
Well,
wasting our time.
it cuts a lot of faff out. Do you know what I mean? It's
Mm.
more streamlined process, which I think is really important for
Well,
everyone's
also
time.
but it also doesn't impact the actual project's sort of like thing. Like that what I just said with the budget, it's like it doesn't make a difference whether you say the budget first or whether I say my rates first. It's like if your budget isn't up to speed or if my rates aren't in your ballpark, then we're just going to end up in the same situation. So you might as well just tell me how much money you've got.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
In terms of money, like, what do you wish clients kind of understood about pricing? Is there anything that stands out? I think, or is there one thing that secretly costs you lots of time that clients maybe never see?
In terms of money, I guess it's a little bit more of a blanket statement, but I do think that, and this is dependent on the client, but I do think that the value of things is very undervalued in the creative industry, or like the amount of time and energy and effort that goes into sort of like how long something is. So especially as a freelancer, it'll be, oh yeah, as an example, oh we have like £400 for this thing, and it's like, okay, but is there going to be feedback that needs to come back? It's like, oh yeah, probably we'll need to do feedback as well. And it's like, okay, so you want to pay £400 for like 3 days worth of work?
Yeah.
So that, if like, there's like £100 a day nearly.
Yeah.
So it's literally not.
Well,
and so I do think that a lot of the, like what brands and clients and things like that ask for, it's almost like if you read it back to them, it's like, would you even work for this? Yeah, it's like scope. It's like your budget and your scope don't even align.
Yeah.
Like, surely that doesn't make sense.
And this all comes back to communication, doesn't it, really? And expectations. And being very clear on, the budget, and this is what we want. This is what you want to fulfill for the budget. We want you to do this shoot. We need this many final deliverables, this many rounds of edits, whatever it is. And they've got a budget set for that. And being very clear on that, because like you say, if someone comes to you and says, oh, we've got this project, it's 600 quid, and they're not clear on, the feedback rounds and the communication and post-production and the feedback. And then, before you know it, you're doing an extra 2 days work for that same fee. And like, in terms of kind of timelines and urgent work and non-urgent work, like, what clients think is urgent versus what actually is. And I feel like I don't have this issue probably as much as you did with your video editing stuff, but like,
the processes in video are a lot drawn out more, aren't they? They're longer.
Much more drawn out. If there is a fast turnaround time, so say, like I shot the Prem final for the rugby at Twickenham, I knew that the images had to be done kind of same day or within that 24 hours. And I am made aware of that when I get the original email.
Yeah.
And that there is a fast turnaround time. So that's a green flag. That's a sign of great communication from a client. A client assuming that assuming, that that's just how it's going to be without telling you that is red flag. It's not great communication. Even if it's, you've done it for them before or whatever, just being really clear on, look, guys, we're going to need some rush edits for this because we want to post stuff up on socials the same day. Like, I'll charge a rush edit fee if it needs to be done fast. So, think things like that, and what is urgent and what isn't. And I think that sometimes you can feel like something's urgent, especially as a younger creative, when actually you could have given yourself another day to sit with it and edit it before getting it out, just because you want to impress, right? As well. So it's a bit of a, like, just get a clear communication from the client in terms of what they expect and what their expectations are in terms of, the deliverables, and how urgent you think it is might be incorrect. So it's understanding what the client wants. And, there's also things that they're like, oh, we need this doing now, when actually probably could be done at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning when you're back at your desk, and it might take you an hour because it's not being posted that night. But clients might feel like they need it that night because, it's going up the next day at 3 p.m. But actually, you could have done it at your desk. And these boundaries, right, and respecting those boundaries.
Well, exactly, yeah. I do think that a lot of it comes down to, like if you allow that stuff to happen, and I think at least that's what one of the things that I've learned again and again, and it's probably the most important thing in my career, is realizing that other people's urgency isn't your own. And if a client is coming to you, or like say like if you're already on a project and then there's like an urgent part of it that comes up that wasn't previously discussed, you do feel obligated as the creative to kind of like go the extra mile and do that. But I think really the only reason why it's urgent is because they didn't prioritize it properly on their side, and now you're the one paying for it. And I think by you having like those boundaries in place, it allows you to still like say as an example, if you're an editor or a photographer or whatever, just because you're the photographer on the project, just because you're the editor on the project, it doesn't mean that you now need to like break your back for essentially like their like prioritization like mishap. Because I think it's almost like the type of job you do as well, right? Like you do editing, but it's like I edit, but I don't edit like this. Like I don't edit just by like fucking staying up till 3 a.m. and doing everything. So I think it's good to have your own boundaries with what you're talking about, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
And this is why communication is so important, because it helps reinforce boundaries, but also keeps you out of situations where it's like, oh, they need something turning around quick, right? And like any clients or brands or whatever that are listening, like I'm aware it happens. There's been times where you like brands or clients of mine have pulled in a favor and I've stayed up and I've edited late because I'm happy to, right? Like I want to make them happy, and also I love working with them, and I've got a great relationship with them. I know it's not like that every time we work together, and sometimes these things happen. So that's absolutely fine, right? And I'm always willing to do that, but it's just, you know, making sure it doesn't happen every single time. Because I think, you know.
Yeah, something that really helped me was taking money out of it. I think if you can do every single project and imagine that money doesn't matter, and then it's based on principles and like boundaries. So like if you think about real life where, you know, you've got your friends and you've got your family and you've got all this stuff, and you do have like boundaries in place for like your values and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, just like living your life. And it's like if you imagine like money on a project wasn't even part of it and you was just working on this project, would you be happy to do this? Okay, yeah, like because like I'm, you know, it's part of my values, it's part of me wanting to go the extra mile for you. But okay, are you taking the piss now? So I feel like you are, like, and I think money is a really difficult thing to kind of like get over because you feel obligated because you're being paid for the project. And I think on the video side where, you know, if you're running a project, the processes are a lot more drawn out, the projects are usually longer, and so you are getting more money for it. And so you might be charging like 20k and you're like, you feel like you should go the extra mile, and you do, but the 20k has almost always been settled on based on the timeline of the project and the milestones that you've set out and the expectations. So it's like if things start running over that, it doesn't matter whether you're paying 20k or whatever. It's like you're taking the piss, and that is I think that's why it's better to try and separate the money from, you know, the way that you just act on a project. Because as you said, it's like relationships and it's experience and it's, you know, you're happy you might have a good relationship with them, and it's like, yeah, you have a good relationship with them regardless of the money. And the reason why you have a good relationship is because you probably did the projects without the money anyway. You know what I mean?
Amen.
So
amen. Amen. And I think so. The last kind of part I want to touch on is, you know, the creative freedom, right? So dream client wise, or what things we'd want clients to know, you know, it's in terms of the creative freedom, the best scenario for us is, and I get this isn't always the case because, you know, people have brands and there's brand guidelines and all that kind of stuff. But if we can have, you know, creative freedom in bringing our ideas to the table, and instead of someone saying like, we want it shot like this, kind of let us kind of collaborate with it. The more creative freedom we've had, sometimes it's like you create your best work and then the client's like, wow, I never would have thought of that. But actually, you know, this is a really good idea and I wouldn't have done that. So, you know, and then you enjoy it more because you're bought into the idea. You've put your own kind of things in the table. And I think that can make a massive difference as well. So in terms of creative freedom, I get it's not always possible, but the earlier you can like brief us as creatives, the more we can think about ideas, present ideas, even if you haven't asked for them, but just bring ideas to the table, and the more we can be a part of that process, I think we create better work in turn. We are more invested in turn, and then, I just think the final product is then better, isn't it? Just in general.
Yeah, I do like that. I think you need to leave a little bit of freedom for the creatives to kind of like put their mark on it as well. And that's why I like, some of the best people that I've worked with is where I'll be editing a project and they will have like a reference for me, but they won't tell me like a storyboard. They won't tell me like shot for shot how they want things. And that way you're able to like provide an edit and you'll see things different. Like a creative, that I think it's almost like been proven this as well, that creatives have almost like, well, people just see the world differently, right? Basically, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And if you're able to just let the person do their shit, then you might be pleasantly surprised. And if it's not really in the direction you want, then you can always just like pivot it a little bit. But, if I'm going to Matt Pearson, for example, I'm going to you because I want your style on my project, but I can't come to you with every single detail already worked out going, Matt, just do this.
Yeah.
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 So that's really
very
important.
True. Yeah.
Which is difficult with clients that have creative briefs already dialed in, because sometimes I remember we were doing a project and we were supposed to be, we figured out all the storyboarding, we did all this, and then when we actually had the meeting with the client, they presented their storyboard and their deck, and it was like, you guys were making a deck. I thought we were doing that. Oh, that's so weird. And it was just like this miscommunication where the client had already done all of that creative upfront work, and obviously it wasn't as good as ours because we're the creatives. So I'm only joking. But yeah, I think that's a really good point that you make, and like that it was the freedom, right, that you was talking about. Yeah.
So I think, to summarize, if there are clients listening to this, it's communication is so key. So being concise and efficient and being transparent as well, and giving as much information as possible, asking us to like bring in our creative ideas if we want to, and giving us that creative freedom as well, makes us buy into the projects more, so we're going to have a better time and you're going to get a better result because of it. And then also kind of the feedback you give as well and how you go about that. So
and
if you like the work, let us know. We want to hear, like, we love what we do, right? Well, I think most of us do. So,
I hope so.
We love what we do for a living and we're passionate about it, and it's our own work, it's our own craft. So there's nothing better, I promise you, than, telling the photographer or videographer or the creative, whatever, that you've used, that you love the work and you really appreciate them taking the time. Do you know what? An example of this, I had an email through a few days ago, and I did that shoot with Meta, didn't I? Like a few weeks back, like 3 or 4 weeks back. And one of the team at Meta was going on holiday for 2 weeks, and she just got back. They'd been in Japan, and she still took the time, even like 2 weeks later, once she got back, to just message me and email me just to say, like, look, I never got to speak to you and wasn't part of the post-production conversation, but I just want to say I absolutely love the images. I'm seeing people use them, and thank you so much. And like, I hope to work with you again. And like, she didn't need to do that. She didn't need to send that message. A lot of people would have just left it to the side. And, that's a massive green flag in terms of the way someone communicates with you. And
well, it's cultivating that relationship, isn't it? Because even if, I don't know whether you said she works at an agency or whatever, but or a Meta or whatever, but they could be working with like 1 million photographers yearly, but to be able to single you out and to kind of like build that relationship and make it a bit more personal is like, obviously I'm not saying that they do work with 1 million photographers, but I'm just saying,
I, as a creative, then had a better experience, so in my mind it sticks. You
exactly.
You say, like, I am more open to helping that person and that agency that booked me, and like, because of the client experience I've had with that person. She didn't need to send that email. She just got back from 2 weeks of traveling. Like, I assume her inbox is mad and she's got a lot of stuff to do, but yet she took the time to just send that email and just say thank you. Like, it wasn't needed, but it was appreciated. So
I do want to say, though, that it's also probably good for the opposite way around, for creatives to email your clients and be like, just to let you know, I really bloody loved working with you on this project.
Very true. Very true, Cameron. Great point. So
thank you.
Yeah, that's like just an example that sprung to mind recently, and I think that it's an important one. So yeah, man. Nice. I think there's we kept it short, we've kept it concise, but I think there's some good points in there. And hopefully if there's some agencies or brands or clients listening to this, they'll be able to take something away. Before we wrap up, go on.
Oh, well, I was going to say, nothing else, everything else that springs to mind for me is all like boundary related on our side, on the creative side, because you can avoid a lot of stuff and create a lot of stuff by having boundaries in place. Like, it's easy to say, appreciation, or do this, I'll do that. But at the same time, it's like, well, you could also create that. You could also be the one that does that stuff, and, it kind of incentivizes the client to sort of return that. So, and I think that incentive is a lot of stuff like you hear about in sales where, I'll do this thing for free because it incentivizes the other person to reciprocate. And it's almost like this sales tactic. So, I don't know. Yeah. There's a lot of other stuff I can say, but I also feel like it would be going back over some of the obvious things. So,
fair. No, I think it all just stems down to communication. All of it.
I think that's why every time we went through another point, we always came back to the original point.
To communication. So clear, concise, transparent, to the point. It'll help. It'll help both ends of the pie. So to wrap up the show, we're doing our listeners' question, and this feel like is quite fitting to some of the things we spoke about. So Cameron, what is your most chaotic deadline all-nighter that you've ever pulled?
Oh mate, I have this at top of mind, mate. So I want to say back in 2021, I was doing a GQ project for GQ Heroes, and GQ Heroes is like their big thing. It happens at Soho Farmhouse, I think it is. And I was responsible for like the main highlight reel that is used to sort of advertise for the next year and get like investors and things like that. So it was really important. And I was up. It was like a 2-week project, but was it? No, it was maybe like a week-long project after shooting everything already. But I was up for 3 days straight with no sleep. And I mean like no sleep. And it was one of those things where, so at that point, Matteo, who used to work at GQ back then, Matteo was more of like, the client, like we were, I didn't really know him that well. And he ended up having to come to my apartment. And he also,
I remember this.
Yeah, and he also stayed up for 3 nights in a row with me. And by the end of those 3 days, we were like best mates. And I've got a picture of him pulling my yoga mat out of my room into the where my desk is, putting it on the floor, getting in the sleeping bag, lay on the floor, and he's got a pillow, and he's like, and he's like this, like looking up at the screen, like, so he's sleeping, but he needs to still see what the edit looks like, so he's like just in the background. I'm like, mate. So that was, and also Matteo told me that when I did actually go to sleep, because when he took over for like, the end of it or whatever, apparently I was talking in my sleep or something, and I was like so out of it, and he was like, bro, you was literally like speaking to me in like full sentences, and I was so confused. I'm like, really?
That's funny.
And so that was traumatic. That was where you had the shakes at the end of it, and obviously looking back, no deadline is looking back, no deadline is that bad.
I mean, I don't have anything close to that. I think probably
the stress as well.
I think the biggest deadlines for me are probably like after when I used to shoot a bit of live music. Like you would shoot the concert and then you'd be up late till like 3-4 a.m. editing.
Yeah,
and I think I've had a few of those in my time, but I've never had something that where I'm literally getting no sleep. So you win.
I wonder if that's just something that you kind of like weed out as the years go on, because I think nowadays I don't stress as much about my projects, and I also don't. I'll stay up till like 2 a.m. sometimes if needed, just because as a creative, I lock in when it gets dark.
Yeah.
And so I do like that, but a lot of times like the stress isn't there and like the anxiety. Like I am very much just like, if like I have to wake up early and do it tomorrow, I'll just do that.
Yeah.
And I think you trust, how long you can, you trust that you'll just get it done. Whereas I think in the past, you'll be stressing, and in the past you'd be like, I've got to stay on it and stay up to 3 a.m. because what happens if tomorrow I still can't sort it out? Whereas now it's like, it's fine. Cameron will sort it. Future Cameron's problem. Don't worry.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, anywho, we're going to wrap up the show there. Thanks for listening, folks, if you made it this far. Next week's show, episode 100, we're going to do a year review.
Episode 100.
So a 2025 review, what we've loved, what we've hated, what were the losses this year, what were the wins, what were the things we would change, and kind of maybe chat a bit about what we're hoping to change and like push into 2026. So we're going to chat about that, and then we're going to have episode 101 as our Christmas special before we have 2 or 3 weeks off the show for Christmas and New Year. So I'm looking forward to it, Cameron.
I can't believe it, man. I can't believe.
I know it's this year's
like
flown.
Has anybody else had the year go super fast? Like, because I went to Thailand in January.
Year of my life.
Yeah, literally, and I don't know why though. Like, well, there's been so much happening, but we went to Thailand in January, and then in July I went to Bulgaria for my girlfriend, and now it's Christmas, and it's almost like 6 months happened between Thailand and Bulgaria, and now 6 months have happened again between Bulgaria and Christmas. I'm like, what? What's happened?
Yeah,
like it's just gone so fast. And also, by the way, it's been a week today that I got my tattoos done. How's it been 7 days? It's been like 3. Like, what's going on?
Time flies.
I can't believe it.
Or I feel like time is just flying faster as we get older. So
have you heard about that thing where as you get older, the percentage of time gets like?
I don't want to.
Actually, well, it's meant to be the opposite. Actually, like when you're a kid, obviously you've not been alive as long, so an hour feels longer because it's such a larger portion of your life. Whereas when you've been alive for 30 years, obviously an hour is like way smaller, so maybe it goes by faster. I feel like that's meant to be an argument for why time goes slower when you're older, but I feel like it's the opposite.
Yeah, I feel like it's going quick. Anyway, Cameron,
going to be 50 before we know it.
Cameron's doing his streaming tonight. I sat and watched some whilst I was walking on my treadmill.
Oh yeah,
day,
mate!
I really enjoyed.
You sent me that video. I showed it to Steph, and I was like, "Look at Matt. He's on his treadmill, just walking in his living room, whilst watching me on the TV."
It was. I really enjoyed it, mate. I ended up watching for an hour and a half, and do you know what? I clicked off to flick through my YouTube, and I ended up going back to watch you just because there was nothing better to watch. Like, I actually really enjoyed it.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Yeah, I was actually quite. As the days have gone on, I think it was like day 2 or day 3 when you checked it out. But as the days have gone on, you do just get more comfortable, and So I finished Marvel Spider-Man, and then last night I finished Batman Arkham Asylum. So now I'm going back to Marvel Spider-Man tonight to do some of the DLC that needs to be done, and then maybe tomorrow we'll do Batman Arkham City.
Nice.
So
I've never seen the Batman game, so yeah. Anywho, mate,
you do this all the time, bro.
Mate,
I need to go, but still, you do this.
I need to go.
You always drop some kind of crazy, like you've not seen Breaking Bad, like you're.
Anywho,
I hope the listeners that
have a great.
Okay,
week,
let's
mate.
wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
Bye.
Subscribe to the newsletter, guys.
What
do you mean?
Subscribe to the newsletter if you haven't already.
So you was actually going to hang up?
All the good stuff. I don't feel very well. I'm tapping out.
Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, enjoy your Christmas, guys. We're back to speak to you next week. And
it's not Christmas yet.
We're in December. It's Christmas.
Okay, enjoy your. Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right, bye, guys.